This from ESPN, and it goes along with this. 3 biggest questions facing the Browns this offseason. Number 1, will Kevin Stefanski hand over play calling duties? Number 2, could the Browns chase a big-name wide receiver? Number 3, what will the Browns do in the draft? Start with the play calling duties. What do you think? You can hear and you can make the case that Dorsey is similar enough to Stefanski that he could hand over play calling duties. Do you think he will? Do you think he should?
No, he shouldn't. He's still going to be in charge of that offensive process, right? He's going to be the one that has the final say on what goes on the play sheet, what doesn't. And as long as that's his role, if he's overseeing the offense, if he's overseeing what goes on the play sheet, he should be the one calling the plays. The play caller should be the one in charge of the play sheet. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think play calling, we talk about it too much. It's overblown. It's overrated to me. I feel like if the play sheet is good, it don't matter who calling the plays, right? If the game plan's good, we're not worried about individual play calls because a lot of those plays that you schemed up during the week are going to work. It's only when the game planning is not good or you get outmaneuvered by other defense that we actually start to care about play calling because it's the only time it actually matters, right? Outside of calling like a fake punt or something like that, like that's okay. That's on play caller, right? You call a fake punt, you do something, you YOLO it like that, you go for it when you're not supposed to. But that stuff's going to be up to Kevin anyways, regardless of who is calling the plays, right? If they're going to have to make a decision on 4th down, Kevin's making that decision regardless of who's calling plays. If they're going to make a decision on if they're going to go for it or kick a field goal, that's Kevin's decision to make as the head coach. And if they're going to make a decision to go call a fake punt, that's Kevin's decision to make as the head coach. So I think the play calling stuff can be overblown at times because it's a small part of a very large process that we focus on. And as long as Kev's the one in charge of that process, which he hired all of these coaches, which tells me he's the one in charge. He's the one who introduced Ken Dorsey as his offensive coordinator, helping him build the offense. As long as that's the case, Kevin should call the plays because he's in charge on that side of the ball, and who calls the plays is who's going to be seen as accountable for the offense.
All right, number 2, do you think they chase a big-name wide receiver?
Big name? It depends on what you mean by big name. Like, do you a wide receiver whose name you know? Yes, I think they will, right? Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow, who else out there? Like, they're not going to go after like T. Higgins. They don't have the resources to do that. Because T's going to want a long-term deal. I don't think they can offer another long-term deal. They've given out so many over the last few years. I don't think they really have room for adding more long-term deals. But they could get somebody like a D-Hop on a short-term deal with the trade, or they could get somebody like Hunter Renfrow, who could become available because he's a cap casualty, or a Mike Williams, who could become available, who's a cap casualty. They will add a name you will know somewhere at wide receiver, more than likely, but I don't know if it's going to be somebody who's like when I think big names, I think of like a top 5 receiver in the league right now. I don't think they go out and get like Stephon Diggs or something like that.
And then we'll get in. You were at the Senior Bowl last week. We'll get into that a little bit later. What do you think they address in the draft?
I think they try to get some offensive line depth. I think that's where they really felt it the most this year, and where they're going to feel it going forward. You have to look. You have to ask yourself, is Wyatt Teller going to get another contract extension? I don't know the answer to that. You have to ask yourself, Ethan Pulsic, new system away from Bill Callahan, will he be the same guy that he was only under Bill Callahan? That's a question you have to ask. I'm going to be prepared for it. The answer is no. Joe Bitonio, he's getting up there in age. He's been in the league over 10 years at this point. So, how much longer does he have as an active player? I mean, it was around this time where Joe Thomas decided to retire. I don't think it's far off for him. I think Jason Kelsey just retired too. So, he's getting older. He's getting up there. He's starting to have back problems. Like, these are real issues. So maybe, you have some questions at guard. You look at Jedrick Wills and you ask yourself, well, do you want to extend him, or do you want to have some options in case you don't want to extend him? So tackles on the board. Every single offensive line position, you can make an argument for being on the board for the Browns and being a significant thing that they're going to look for in the next couple of years. So I would expect the offensive line to be a really big focus focus and what they want to do. At other positions, they have some young players, right? Running back, they have some young players. As much as people are pressing wide receiver this offseason, they feel like they drafted two guys in the top, what, 3 rounds of the draft the last couple of years, and David Bell and Cedric Tillman. So they might feel like those guys are still going to be on track to contribute. Um, and I think that when you look at this roster, the offensive lines where you're like, hey, they need to do something about that, or else it's going to be a problem in a year or two.